Welcome to the Exploring Potential podcast, where we delve into the realm of unique and novel ideas within organizations. Join us as we uncover the driving force behind innovation and success by engaging in thought-provoking conversations and stories with some of the brightest minds in various fields. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us and welcome to the Exploring Potential podcast. I'm your host, Brett King. Let's talk about mindset today. I believe that all of us, no matter where we are in our career, no matter our industry, no matter our life circumstance, I believe our mindset is a significant factor in determining our success. Now, there are thousands of directions we could go with this topic, like a few podcasts ago when we focused primarily on positive thinking as part of our mindset, for instance. Today, I want to zero in on something called the entrepreneurial mindset. As we'll see, the benefits to this mindset and these practices isn't limited to entrepreneurs or even careers and professions. There is value and applicability for all career paths and even personal life. At its core, the entrepreneurial mindset refers to a specific way of thinking that is innovative, opportunity-focused, driven by a desire to achieve goals and create value. This mindset can be characterized perhaps by several key components, like innovation, creativity, risk-taking or resilience, adaptability, self-motivation, vision, goal setting, opportunity recognition, resourcefulness, networking, collaboration, a focus on customers, a focus on growth, just to name more than a few. Entrepreneurial thinking drives innovation and can be used to solve problems professionally and personally. It also encourages personal growth, self-reliance, and confidence. The entrepreneurial mindset is a powerful approach to both professional and personal life, emphasizing innovation, risk-taking, resilience, and a proactive attitude. It's valuable not only for entrepreneurs, but for anyone looking to adopt a more dynamic, creative, and goal-oriented approach to life. Now, we're very fortunate today to be joined by someone who knows a thing or two or three or more about the entrepreneurial mindset, and that is Paul Jaques. Paul is the Burgess Institute's managing director for venture creation at Michigan State University. Paul works directly with Spartan student venturers as they take their ideas to market reality. Paul brings a long track record of successful venture creation with several startups of his own, including Cartropic.com, making the way people buy cars easier, a recruiting firm, We Connect Talent, Brick Shield, a semi-permanent adhesive for plastic brick toys like Lego, 3PL, a logistics and e-commerce company. He's also an early-stage investor and venture partner with Exit Quotient Ventures, an early-stage fund located in Lansing, Michigan. He serves as an advisor for several startups and in his spare time wrote a children's book, Best Friend Dad. Before the Burgess Institute's formation, Paul worked at Spartan Innovations as the Director of Student and Community Engagement. He also served as the Associate Director of Business and Career Engagement for MSU Career Services. Paul is the co-creator of Art Alley, Neo Center, YSG, The Hatching, Conquer Accelerator, and the Momentum Pre-Accelerator. Paul earned his bachelor's in advertising and PR from Grand Valley State University and his master's in public relations from Michigan State University. Paul, what an impressive resume. Thanks for coming to the show. I really appreciate it. Welcome, and thanks for being here today.
Thanks a lot, Brett. Thanks for having me. That sounded way too long, but that's okay.
We got to get it all in there. I mean, especially the children's book. I love that, by the way.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, could you just kick us off? I mean, I did give you an intro there, but would you mind just kicking us off with a little background on you and your career experience and what's transitioned to your current focus?
Yeah. So I, got out of the undergrad, really coming out, thinking I was getting into advertising, marketing, maybe even to the recruiting world, but always was a good speaker. So I was out there kind of doing more salesy type things and really loved the entrepreneurial world, getting into my own ideas, really working with young people to start their own companies. And when I was in career services, basically I had a lot of students coming to me saying, I want to start this. How do I set up an entity? How do I get a provisional patent? So I was doing a lot of my own, and me and a few colleagues around the area, we started our own incubator just before the university started their own. That's why I got into this position and get to work with students every day. It's great.
That's awesome. That's got to be energizing. I imagine the level of energy that they bring to this has got to be just off the charts.
It's amazing, and I see other jobs that are out there, and that would be tough for me to be at. It's a change every day. The students come in with fun and crazy ideas, and they're bushy tailed and excited. And it's not here to me to smash their dreams. It's really to walk them through the process of this, being a possibility. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I find, we're fortunate to be around Michigan State University as well. And I find, from the interns we bring on to even part-time to full-time hires, there's an energy, being a part of a university system. And I would imagine that, I'm putting words in your mouth here, but your ventures that you've started, I got to imagine these young men and women are really energizing you to keep your stuff going as well.
Yeah. And it's neat to see them start things, but like we've talked about in the past, is I learn by doing, and I have a problem, and I'm sure my wife enjoys this. But if I have something in my head, I have to go with it. I have to make it. I have to do it. I have to get it done, even if it's not going to totally flush out and be this huge moneymaker. But I learned so much, and I get to take what I learned from that, either failure or partial success, and bring it back to the students and say, hey, how do you get into this retail space, or how do you use this manufacturer, or how do you buy this or work through this? But I enjoy it, and I encourage it to all the employees here too. Is get into something that that you enjoy, that you can get into on the side.
And what better way to learn than to just do? We were talking about this before we started rolling. Is just that's the best way to learn. You just got to dive in, and so you're living this example, and this is a perfect segue to talking about the entrepreneurial mindset, because I think that plays right along with it. So I'll just ask you point blank: how would you define the entrepreneurial mindset? What we're talking about?
Yeah. So one of the things we have at Michigan State is we have a minor in entrepreneurship. We don't have a major. And when we first started this a while ago, I think a lot of the parents, professors, even students were saying, you're going to teach us to be entrepreneurs. And that's not it at all. We're not teaching the students to be entrepreneurs. We're teaching them the mindset. So we walk them through the language and the processes of what it would be like to be an entrepreneur, but using all of the language of examples. We have come to us and say, I need some funding. I have a new idea. I need some funding. So maybe you're in a friends and family area. Maybe you need some angel money. And they're like, what's that? Okay. We have to walk them through the process of just having that mind, thinking about it. Now, teaching them that doesn't mean that they're going to become entrepreneurs. They can. I mean, they'll come on and start their own ventures. We have a ton that come through and launch and grow and raise tons of dollars. But a lot of them, and I'd say majority of the students that we see, learn the mindset, maybe go through the process and start something and go on and get a really good job. And that's what these employers out there are looking for: innovative, entrepreneurial students. And they're getting some really good jobs out there.
So they don't necessarily have to just get this mindset and then go start their own company. And it sounds like many do, but this is something like we talked about in the intro, this mindset becomes applicable wherever you go with it. It's a skill set at that point. Is that right?
For sure. And it's almost like I'd say it's almost like a sport. They're the students that are going through our program. It's all extracurricular. They're doing this on top of their schooling and their lives and boyfriends, girlfriends, and football and everything that they do. It's a lot of work. But once they have this, I always show them, I said, if I have 2 resumes, same GPA, same major, same everything, you graduate. But wait a minute, you started a business and you walked through the process of maybe hiring people and raising money and this and this and this. They're like, come here, I want to talk to you. So that's how they get that leg up of how they get those interviews and get those jobs. And I hear it over and over, me with alums from 8, 10, 12 years ago that have their jobs. Every time they do go into a different job, they want to know that they got their degree. They want to know that with their job experience. But their number one thing they say is, you had a startup? Tell me more about that. And I hear it all the time.
I'm sure. I mean, That's impressive. It takes a whole other skill set, takes dedication, and it takes, importantly, what we're talking about, this mindset. What are some characteristics you'd say? I mean, I don't expect us to get your entire curriculum here in this brief podcast, but what are some characteristics that you teach?
Yeah, so I mean, you brought up a few, but we talk about risk taking. We talk about talking to other people, working with different groups, resilience, really going through the process of building idea. We even talk about loneliness. As you start a company, I think a lot of students and younger people think that it's just pie in the sky. They're going to do this and this. They're working for themselves. It's hard. It's
Right.
super hard work, and it's a very lonely thing that you do. Raising money, is a very difficult thing to do. So it's tough in a semester or even in a year to go through the process of everything they do. But we talk about all of the different things they should be going through, as going through a startup.
And when we think about those things that we have to go through as if you're going through a startup, you already hinted to some, handing that resume over and an employer saying, wow, you started a company, tell me more about this. In addition to that, why should everyone consider adopting this sort of entrepreneurial approach or entrepreneurial mindset?
Well, an example that I had, we talked about that I went from career services and I went into more of the startup world. My first couple weeks I was here, I used to get interns. I would work for businesses and interns, and they would call me all the time. Hey, Paul, I know you know an accountant. I know you know this. I know you can help with students. I got a call from a large company in Detroit. I said, hey, Paul, we need some interns for the summer. Can you get us a few? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm not there anymore. I'm over at a new place starting companies. They said, no, we want your students. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. These businesses want innovative, entrepreneurial students. That doesn't mean maybe they started a company, but they've learned the mindset. They've been somewhat through a process, but they're able to work with a team and work with others to build ideas, new innovations. And usually the younger individuals aren't sitting in that same exact job for like our parents did, 30, 40
Right.
years. They're hopping around either inside those jobs or taking different jobs. So that makes a ton of sense to me. And I think the students are really starting to get that. Even the parents are starting to get that too.
That makes perfect sense to me as well. I mean, you want that innovative energy that kind of comes with it, and that resilience as well. If you can have that in an employee, whether an intern or full time, I mean, those are skill sets those are harder to teach. Mindset is harder to teach, I would say, than typical technical skills, things like that. So if that exists, there's a lot of potential for them to contribute to that organization.
Yeah, to me, I always think of sports analogies. I'm a big sports guy. It's like teaching grit in sports. When you
Right.
have that young male or female that's playing basketball, for example, and they're just rough and tough, and they're hustling and grabbing the ball and doing this. Maybe they're not as skilled as they could be. You can't teach that. It's really,
Right.
really hard to teach. So you're like, they have it, but let's walk you through some actual processes and get you to do layups, get you to do short shots or threes. And if you can get that down, do that. So we do see some of the ones that step a little faster because they have that either family entrepreneurial skills or they just have the mindset that comes with it. But if we can mold them all together to get to that, that's the perfect employee or the perfect individual to run a company.
Right. It's the perfect combination of skills. They're adaptable in terms of teaching them the things they need to know, but they've got that intangible grit that's going to help take them to that next level. I love that. I love the sports analogy with that. I think that's very applicable. Now, resilience is a huge component of the entrepreneurial mindset, at least from my perspective. I'd love to know what you think. And as part of resilience, we talked a bit about this of the best way to learn is just get in. Don't be afraid to suck at something, right? Like just get in and do it. What place does failure have in our career and business journeys as part of this?
Huge. Through our process. So we're not an actual fund. So we're not investing in these companies at all. But as we walk them through the process, we do have grant dollars and resources that they can get, but we don't turn anybody away. I always say we don't turn them away unless it's illegal or way out there, which
That's fair.
we've had a few come to us from. But even if the idea is out there, or there's hundreds of them out there, we don't turn them away. But we ask them why you're different. How are you going to be different if you are building a new sweatshirt idea or if you're building a new app that's already out there? Why are you different? But it's also okay to fail. You can almost fail on our dime, which is the best time to do it. And students have come to us and they've started 3 or 4 different companies and that's okay. But some of them are a little apprehensive of coming through and saying, I really don't want to fail. It's fine to go through that because you've learned so much. And it's really just to talk to them as a freshman and to then see them as a senior and even graduating. It's fun to talk about them, about that first meeting that we had when they pitched their idea. Say, hey, remember that first thing that you pitched? I can tell you in my head it's going to be way different than what you pitched, or totally different, pivot to something else. But go ahead and fail. But you learned, hey, that's not the way to do it, or that's not the best idea, or funding is going to be difficult. I push. Obviously, we want everybody to succeed and go through the process, but they're all going to fail at something at some time. We send them out to pitch competitions all the time around the country, and I set them up to say, listen, you might not win. That's okay. But those judges, it matters the way the wind blows that day. Maybe you didn't pitch as well. Maybe the idea is not as good. But maybe there's somebody in the crowd that's an investor or has a friend that can connect with you. To me, that's what you want. That's the big part of it. So
Right.
It's not failing at the winning the money for the competition. It's selling it to the crowd and the people. So I'm all about it for sure.
It's I love how you put that, because it's not, and this is how we should all look at failure, right? Is that it's not binary, right? Every situation in life, we have an opportunity to learn from and gain something and take something away. It's not really ever true failure, right? As long as we're learning and developing something. So I love that, that's the coaching you kind of put out there. And that was going to be my follow-up, because you make it sound so easy that there's this embrace of failure. Now, I'm curious to know, how do you help? Because I think even for us that are in, beyond college and things like that, everybody is afraid of failure. At the end of the day, we're all afraid, whether it's learning a new language or something else, we're all afraid to fall on our face. How do you coach them through that? How do you get them to embrace that?
It's so interesting being in this position, because you do. Me and my colleagues always say sometimes we're part-time therapists too,
Right.
because they're not only going through working on their startup, but they're going through business partners. They're going with friends. They're going with different ideas. So it's case by case, obviously, but you become really close with a lot of these teams. As advising them, and I don't know. It's tough sometimes. We go through some really, really tough situations, but you have to let them know sometimes that this isn't the end of the world.
Right.
If something failed at this time, there is going to be so much more in your life. A lot of the students come to us and say, I just don't have time. And I was like, you don't even know. You have no kids. You have no mortgage. You don't have any pets or anything. You have
Right.
a lot of time, but we can always look back at that too. And we probably thought the same thing. Saying,
Of course.
we're so busy with this.
Of course.
Use your time now to do this. And again, I talk to the ones that have graduated and say the same thing. But case by case, we go through it, and we go through some tough stuff, but you have to.
Right. And as long as they see that as a learning opportunity, which it sounds like that's what you're instilling, I think that's that skill of embracing that ability to, okay, again, I almost at this point, I want to start avoiding using the word fail, because it really, if you're learning something, you're gaining. And I know there was a line in a book I just read, 10X is better than 2X, with Dan Sullivan, and a great book. Recommend it to anybody trying to grow or anything, all entrepreneurs especially. But, one of the big things that stuck out there in that book to me was this idea that everything that's happening to us is for the better. If we can kind of embrace that mindset, even if it seems like, it's really hard to put this in a positive light, like how do I spin this? But if you can kind of keep that mindset, then it's hard to keep yourself from learning in each situation and just continuing to pursue.
For sure. It happens all the time. I get teams that will call me and say, this product isn't selling on Amazon. What do I do? I'm like, has it totally failed? Have you put everything into it that you think it won't sell? Yep. Got to get it back. You got to figure out where you can sell it and get rid of it. I can't do that. It's gonna hurt. You have to. I've done it, 3-4 times in my life. I can tell you, it's fine. You'll find that next product. You do this. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna sting quite a bit right now. But it is good that I'm able to let them know I've been through there. I've been through that process, and let them know but don't worry, you'll get through that.
These students are in such good hands with you, Paul, because you are able to speak to them firsthand about, hey, I've been there. I've been through that. And I think for all entrepreneurs, all executives, all business owners, really, you had mentioned this earlier, it is a lonely position at times, no matter where you're at in the process. And so I think giving them that message, like we've been there, other people have been there. It's okay. It is going to hurt. Don't sugarcoat it. It's going to sting, but you keep going.
I think one of the things with teaching with the mindset is it's so tough to really teach lots of things to when you start a business about, for example, I've had a few alums come back and say, wow, you taught me so much of going through this and monies and entities and blah, 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 but you didn't tell me about having employees, but you can talk about it all day, but it is tough to really do it until you're there.
Yeah.
And, there's all these different things of, missing payroll or having employees or doing different things until you do it and you get that sinking feeling in your chest. You can't, that's a tough one to really talk about.
Right. Yeah. All you can do is just give them that, that positive encouragement. Like, yeah, it's going to hurt. And, but keep going. Just learn. For
sure.
What, if I'm somebody that wants to sharpen this mindset, wants to really hone in on these skills, do you have any recommendations for behaviors or habits that that we could start working on to help cultivate this mindset in ourselves?
I actually just had a call earlier today with an alum in the Detroit area and was asking kind of a similar question. They're working on a really early stage startup and really getting some good traction. Like, what do I do next? Like, first off, you got to be around other individuals. You can't be hiding out. You need to be around like-minded people. And you're not out there totally selling the idea right away, possibly. I know, those people that are out there always selling their ideas and pushing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just let them know what you're up to. Because for one, and not to sound cliche, but being a Spartan is huge. If you're a Spartan and you're out there, we help each other so much. It's just networking. Hey, I'm looking at this. Should I get investment? Hey, should I do this? I'm using this software. Should I be doing this? 9 times out of 10, it's just ingrained in us that we're always thinking, I'm not the person, but actually I know somebody down in Chicago that actually does this, and I'm going to connect you. It's just what we do. We just connect with people.
Right.
So just get out there, get the idea going, and get it to grow organically. And you don't always have to be charging those huge dollars in the beginning. Get it to grow first, and then maybe you'll figure out if it does. That revenue model start filling in.
That makes good sense. I mean, it goes back to this. I'm a broken record at this point, but just get out and do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just take that action. You had already spoken to some of this, especially as we talked about, bringing new people into organizations. But I'd like to ask anyways, just in case there's more you want to add, what benefits might organizations realize in promoting kind of an entrepreneurial mindset within their employees? So not just hiring for it, but also like promoting the development of those skill sets. What benefits might those organizations realize from that?
I think it's huge. I think there was a wave, 3-5 years ago, that a lot of these large companies were trying to set up their own innovation areas, and use that word lightly, innovation. I hear that word so much.
Sure.
But they're kind of taking their own people and then building these innovation centers, which I think is fine. But I think they do need to either get some training or go through some processes to learn that. So if there is parts of that they could learn to be more innovative or learn about some certain technologies, be so helpful. It would get the business more forward thinking. It's not being stagnant. I brought an example up the other day to a younger person that looked at me like, what? But I was like Sears.
Right.
Sears thought they were just, doing so well. We're going to do it. But these small guys on the block named Walmart are coming. They're good. Whatever. Gone. They always got it thinking, what's next? And some of these large companies get a little stagnant.
It kind of sharpens their skill. If they're embracing this, investing, it sharpens their skills, allows them to be a little more nimble on their feet, which I don't care what industry you're in these days, you've got to be ready to pivot, right? And ready to just move and embrace new innovations. I mean, I can't think of a single industry that's not in constant change.
Yeah, for sure. It is tough. I mean, these and with kids and even the students coming in, they come in with a new technology every couple of weeks. I'm on this platform. I'm like, what's that? I don't know what that is. Or AI. AI has been huge.
Right.
What's We're seeing just the beginning stages of it. What's that look like? But if you're not up and up with it, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on any and all of these, but I try to be at least working on it and talking to the students about it.
Yeah, the AI is a perfect example. I think, regardless of what company or industry you're in, you got to at least start looking at what are the potential implications if it's not obvious already. I know we were fairly early adopters of some of the newer technology, just from a standpoint of, we got together as a team. We just said, this is a thing. I don't know what it means yet, but play,
Right.
just start seeing what you come up with and let's see how it applies. And I think that's, giving that permission to kind of like just explore, innovate, discover, because this thing is real and we don't know where it's going to go.
Right. Right. But you got to get into it somehow.
That's right. That's right. Well, could you, Paul, you've got so many different examples and startups and ventures of your own, I'm sure. Could you tell us about, one or a couple of your startups and just how the entrepreneurial mindset and this whole approach has played in for the better, for the worse? Do you have some personal examples?
Yeah. I'd say one of them is you brought up Brick Shield. It's our kind of Lego spray idea. It keeps large projects together. It washes off with water, so you can actually take it apart and keep working with it.
Oh, brilliant.
We actually built the product, went through lots of testing and training and to get that out there. And we're really looking at retail. We're selling mostly at Amazon. In the process to getting through that is brutal. We're about to get into Walmart. We had it all set. We were signing a contract with them, and then the buyer left. And we spent a lot of money and a lot of time to do that. But with that, of course, we were like, oh, it hurt so much. We had this huge order. We were going forward. But it was kind of a blessing because we had to bring our prices way down. We had to do this. But I got to learn the process of getting into. I got signed up with Walmart. I had to sign up these 5 or 6 different deals with them. So when these students come in and talk about getting into places like Meijer, Walmart, and others, I know the process.
Right.
So again, that's that failure side of it that I was able to learn so much from that, and walk them through the process. The other thing is we're on Amazon. I know not Amazon like the back of my hand, but we sell totally on there. We started with some huge marketing on there. We don't really market much anymore, and our product kind of sells itself. So I learned a lot of spending dollars on that and maybe changing things up here and there, but sharing that with the students and say, take what I've done, do whatever you want on your own. Just giving some advice on that. That's been super helpful.
And it sounds like you really were able to embrace having an open mind of sort of where things pivoted to. You had said, and we didn't avoid this earlier either, you felt the sting. You felt the pain of, oh man, didn't want that to happen. But then looking back, wow, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
You embraced it. You remained open-minded to where that was going to lead you next. And I imagine that had to be a great contributor to your success.
Yeah, and explaining that to a younger person is tough. They are set on their mind. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Okay. But keep an open mind because you're going to have to. We've all seen the graphs of, entrepreneurship is not this straight up hockey stick. It's ups and downs and lefts and rights, and it's a mess. So they have to be prepared for that. And that's sometimes hard to teach them, but we have to.
It's a roller coaster. There's plenty of memes out there that show exactly what you just did, right?
Yeah.
There's circles and everything else. There's no clear path and it's not easy. And if it were, everybody would do it. And I know that's cliche too, but there's truth to it. You have to be resilient. Well, Paul, this has been incredibly valuable. I think there are just so many takeaways in this. But I want to check myself. Is there anything that I didn't give you a chance to speak about on this topic that you feel is important to share with our audience?
I think one of the biggest thing, and I think you said it over and over, but I wanted to say it again, is you just got to get out there. The worst thing that I see is I get students and even alums and others that come and say, I wanted to start this thing 6 years ago, but then I saw it on TV and then they posted it. Like, just do it. Just take it. I mean, if it's a physical product, if it's a website, it's an app, whatever, we will work with you, or somebody will work with you to get that idea out there and going. But take that dive, jump in there and just get it going, and it'll give back tenfold. It may not be the next Facebook. It may not be that next, physical products make multi-million dollars. It might, but you're going to learn so much, and it's a story to tell to an employer. It's a story to tell others, and they'll go on to that next idea. So just get out there and do it.
I love that. I think that is such the underlying takeaway from this is just get out there and do it, because again, that applies, we're talking a lot about starting ventures and entrepreneurs, but that applies everywhere. If you're in the C-suite, in the boardroom, I mean, chances are you got some entrepreneur in you anyways, but either way, right, start that new idea. Just try, or set up a team to just try. Or if you're an employee and, you're not starting your own venture, but, you want to contribute to the organization, like what can you do to just get started and not be afraid? We talked before this around like learning language and how we're afraid to, like, a lot of people study language for a year and just be reading and, kind of studying it, but not really speaking it because we're afraid to look silly. We're afraid of that failure. So it's like, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, just get out there and do it. And don't be afraid to fall. Don't be afraid to look silly. Like, we're all here for it. Like, just do it.
That's right. Totally agree.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to speak today. As a thank you, I want to just take a few moments, let you plug whatever it is that's most important to you right now. It can be a company, nonprofit, initiative, idea. It could just be words of wisdom. Whatever it is, the floor is yours.
Great. Well, a couple of new things I'm working on. I think you said in the beginning is a new company called Cartropic. Very early stages, but really flipping the way individuals, buyers search for vehicles and the way dealers work with individuals to get cars. So be on the lookout for that. There'll be new news on that coming soon. And then really in our greater Lansing area, there's not a lot of investors in the area. And we're trying to look for more early stage investors. So we did start our new fund called Exit Quotient Ventures, which we've raised a pretty significant amount of money. We've raised about $3.1 million out of it. We're looking to raise $5 million. So getting that going. And, other thing is we have a great fund in the area called Red Cedar Ventures, which is right downstairs from us. That and Michigan Rise, they're one of the bigger investors in the state of Michigan, and they work not only with MSU alumni, but local businesses. So people should be tapping into that as a resource too. That's through the MSU Research Foundation. So it's a great resource.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you for sharing those. Those are really important resources or things to be a part of in this community and beyond. So those are exciting. And it sounds like we've got some exciting things to look forward from you as well, Paul.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to speak today. It's definitely been a pleasure. I feel like we could go on and on and on. So I appreciate you taking the time today. I also want to take a moment to thank our listeners and our viewers for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're getting value from content like this and this conversation with Paul. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts these days. Please give us a rating and a review while you're there. Let us know how we're doing. We want to, in the interest of continuous improvement and not being afraid to fail, we want to do better. So if we can, let us know. You can also watch, like, and subscribe on YouTube. And please visit exploringpotential.com for more information about our team and the work that we do every day. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.